pub it's a sort of a meeting place and a congregation. It's almost a sermon. And at this time of the night then you get time to reflect. And I was just thinking back, to the days when we were kids. We grew up upstairs here, Dad and Mom. My two brothers, my sister came along later on, Joanna. And it's our home. We just wandered in and out of here the whole time. We were like the chickens, we were free range kids. But the memories that stay are Dad. Mom behind the bar, Dad is here telling us the stories. This was like our living room because we didn't have much space upstairs. And Dad would be telling us these incredible stories. Ireland's greatest playwright telling you stories. It's not bad. He brought us out the back, just behind us here is our backyard, where all the bottles are kept and there's cats jumping down off of sheds, and a few doors further down then you had old Pat O'Shaughnessy, and he had greyhounds, and they woke Dad up. Dad could be up at the counter here writing all those masterpieces till maybe 4 o'clock in the morning. Then at 5 o'clock in the morning, Shaughnessy's greyhounds would be screaming and roaring and belching and guggling and gaggling and barking and screeching, and of course it woke Dad up, and he was livid. So one night anyway, he got us all out of bed upstairs here, just over where I'm sitting now, right up there. That was Dad and Mom's bedroom. I know when it was because my mom was at least 13 months pregnant with my sister Joanna. Two brothers, a mom, Dad, we all go out and we shove our little heads out the bedroom window, and at the count of 1, 2, 3, we all go, "Oh!" And we woke up not only Pat O'Shaughnessy, our lovely neighbour, but his greyhounds, and the chain reaction from the dogs barking, I'd say probably went all over the world and finished up maybe even in Washington, Pennsylvania Avenue even. Dad was a star man, and on certain nights he would take us out the back here and lift us up in his arms, and there, perfectly framed in the gap between our flat roof and our kitchen, was the plough. And Dad knew the name of every single star. I wrote a poem about it, and it's called The Starman. It's a very short poem. There was a travelling man used to come in here one time, and he said to my dad, he said, "John, poetry is bad enough without it being long. This is short. I know you'll like it. The Starman." It was the kind of a night when every small star was let out. The crescent moon was reading his book in the yolk yellow watts of a frosty spot. From the town top forest of salt and pepper pots, tough smoke cottoned to the roof of the world. Our backyard was as quiet as a Christmas night, and the wind was a whisper from far away. The mad mist stacks, vampire cats, jumped from the red sheds to the crates of brown bottles glistening in their coffins. "Lift me up quick, Dad," I begged, and he did. My father, starman, pointed to the plough and the tracks of a furrow to the east of our chimney near the start of tomorrow. And if the weather was right, there might well come a night when me and him and young Jim might join up the dots and hop from one star to the other in search of lost treasure. As I was up in his arms and never nearer to heaven, I asked him about dying. He said, "Bill boy, don't be worrying, we'll be near stars winking." And we sang Twinkle Twinkle with lilting abandon, a plan to get shock skinny greyhounds howling and yodeling like their cousins the wolves beyond in the tundra, who sent cards every Christmas to the hounds of the old quarter. A chorus of mongrels at the backs of the houses, holding the high note in eclectic confusion, and a gas fit of laughter by me and my father. My dad wrote the play, the movie The Field was based on, nominated for an Oscar, Richard Harris for Best Actor, Golden Globes, British Academy Awards, shown in every country in the world. It was a huge movie for Dad and for all of us here. Big opening nights, film stars coming in here all the time. It was like Hollywood, this little pub. But people were asking that time, and they always ask, where did the writing come from? Where did Dad get all his writing from? And me, to a lesser extent, as a writer. But 65 years, as I was telling you, of writing here in the pub. But the day my dad died, and this is a good story. This isn't sad. But he died on the 30th of May upstairs, and he was ready, a very spiritual man, he said his prayers, great man for that sort of thing. So he passed away, and I'm trying to make sense of it all. So I come down the stairs, about 6 a.m. in the morning, beautiful summer's morning, I'm looking out the front window of the pub, beautiful summer's morning except for poor Dad, I suppose, and Dad's best friend is outside the door, Joe Sheehy. They grew up together, they loved each other, and they were perfect companions because Dad never shut up and Joe never spoke. This is Joe Sheehy, not Joe Biden. And Joe had been waiting, camping out almost. So I brought him in, and he knew from my face what had happened, and we had a whiskey. And as I said, Joe never said too much, but when he spoke, you listened. He says, "Bill, you have to promise me you'll say this at your dad's graveside. You'll tell this story." "I will, Joe," I said. "Promise me." "I will, Joe, I will." He said, "Bill, your dad, he was the smartest writer who was ever born." And I said, "Yeah, Joe, go on, tell me." Bill, he said, "Your dad was the smartest writer who was ever born because he took down what we said and then he charged us to read it." It's kind of smart, really, what Joe said. The Field was written here upstairs in the pub by Dad, or sometimes at the pub counter. I was just a small boy, but even I remember kind of we were all living in each other's pockets here in this tiny space. And I remember how obsessed Dad was with that play. It was his masterpiece, and it was about a murder. And for Dad to really get into the play properly, he had to get inside the head of a murderer. And he told us years later how incredibly stressful it was. And then at the time, I suppose Dad, the pub is a small pub. There's always challenges, just as there is now, to make ends meet and get things going. And he needed a big hit, and he had a young family, and Mom was pregnant again. My mom was always pregnant, or slightly pregnant, or a little bit pregnant, or thinking about getting pregnant, or just getting over getting pregnant. And as usual, she had a big huge bump, my mom, and you can hardly pass by, in our little kitchen at the back here. I always thought Mom was about 25 or 6 months pregnant. She was so big, and she had terrible morning sickness. Dad's trying to write the masterpiece upstairs, and Mom is really sick. That morning sickness, by the way, is hereditary, because I get it sometimes as well, especially after a late night here. So poor Mom is really sick, and she runs the show here. She does everything. So what happens is someone comes into the pub, and Mom says, "Bill, you better get out there." And so I'm a barman at about 10 years of age. And as you can see, I haven't improved my lot very much in life ever since. So the bell rings for someone to come into the pub, and Mom is too sick. In the meantime, my two brothers, Connor and John, we love each other to bits, but we're always fighting over footballs and going screaming and going crazy at each other and trying to get the ball off each other, and we're jumping on top of each other. My poor mom has got terrible morning sickness. She gets sick. My dad has turned into absolutely crazy trying to get inside the head of a murderer, and everything is just going crazy. And there's someone out in the pub. Mom can't come in. Dad's trying to write a masterpiece, and I'm the barman. So just as I'm coming through the door behind us here, Mom says, Bill, shop face. And what shop face is this. And if you get nothing else out of this, think of shop face. And we need it in Ireland very much right now. And we definitely need it in the United States. Our great friends in the United States. So I'm coming through. Dad's writing a masterpiece. He's turned into a lunatic getting inside the head of a murderer. My two brothers are coming at me from all directions. Mom is really sick, and she's about to explode into vomiting and morning sickness. And I'm coming through the door, and Mom says, Bill, shop face. Here's what shop face is. You go out the door, you go into the bar, and Mr. Murphy comes in. Just call him Mr. Murphy. And you say, hello, Mr. Murphy. And what would you like to drink? Lovely morning, isn't it? And Mr. Murphy says, can I have a pint of Guinness, please? And you say, absolutely, Mrs. Murphy. In the meantime, your dad is turned into murderer, your mom is violently sick, and your two brothers want to kill you. Yes, Mr. Murphy. And that basically is the philosophy that gets us through here, shop face. And what happens with shop face, you start off, you get into the good mood, and incrementally, almost subconsciously, you get into good form. And bit by bit, your good form builds up, and before you know it, the smile is real, and the shop face, it does what you have to do, and it gets you through the day. So just say to all of you in the United States, shop face.